So I had a lovely presentation to share with you all, but you know, it can't be shown, so we just have to get on and do the best we can. So I'm going to try and really tug on your heartstrings a little bit so that you can understand what I do, why I do it, and why I need everyone's help in the room to help me push forwards to help other people. So I was born in 1970, so that makes me 55 this year. I was born to a mum and dad, like we all are. They were in a domestic violence relationship. My mum left when I was 7, so it was 1977. So there was no shelters out there to help women back then. So mum said she'd be back in 2 weeks to come and collect the kids. That never happened because mum didn't have a job, mum didn't have money, mum didn't have a roof over her head. So we stayed with my dad, who'd been having an affair with a woman a couple of doors down who had 7 daughters. They got married. They were in a domestic violence relationship. So whilst we were living with them, my mum got remarried as well and started another family. Whilst my dad and my stepmum were over here, mentally, physically abusing us, neglecting us, not looking after us, my dad got put away, convicted of sexual offences against some of my step-siblings. And that is when social services got involved with our family, and my mum came back on the scene and my mum got custody of us. So at the age of 11, I moved from that dysfunctional family to my 3rd family home setting. And unfortunately, mum had remarried an alcoholic who then went on to mentally, physically abuse and sexually abuse us. Okay. At the age of 16, 3 months before my 16th birthday, I got out of home because it wasn't a safe place, and I put myself through college for 2 years whilst I paid £110 rent on a bedsit that was just the dumps, but it was mine. It was freedom. It was a safe space. So I went to catering college in Vincent Square in London, and I went there for hotel and catering. But I soon realised that I liked accountancy and there was more money in accountancy. So I decided to go down that road instead. The thing is, I didn't have O-level maths because I didn't do really well at school because of all the dysfunction and the abuse going on in my family home environment. I did well, but I didn't do that well. So I went to Office Angels in Bromley and I said, oh, I need a full-time job. Can I become an accountant, please? And they laughed at me. No, that's not going to happen. You need O-level maths. And I'm like, no one tells me no. I learned that. I got out of 3 dysfunctional family home environments. No one now tells me no. She did. But cut a long story short, it took me 10 years to get AAT qualified and CIMA qualified. So I was a chartered management accountant. I met my husband when I was 15, so we've been together for 40 years this year. And he moved in with me and we set up home together when we was 18. And we wanted to put all our ducks in a row. We wanted our own home, to be married, and money in the bank before the children came along. That was my dear wish. That was my dream. I got all of that. At the age of 28, I joined this company where I was financial controller. I had a team of people underneath me, and there was 3 glass offices up here, and I was in the middle glass office, and you guys out in front was where the sales and marketing team sat. And at the back, there was where the directors sat. One day, unfortunately, my mental health had been sliding since the day that I had my son. Because when I had my son, I realised that no one had loved, cared for or nurtured me as a child. And I knew that I would kill for my children or my child at that time, okay? So that is when all of the trauma from the past came and crashed in. And I literally had a breakdown at work. And that was all on the presentation that I was going to share with you. That breakdown was my breakthrough, okay? I left accountancy and the corporate world, and I basically became a trauma-informed health and wellness coach. And that's a lot of, looking back and what went wrong and why did it go wrong? What was it that made you have that breakdown? And as a result of that, in 2016, I started my own charity called Survivors of Abuse. And it all comes from a place of healing holistically, looking at mindset, looking at nutrition, the important role that it plays, looking at fitness, looking at stress management, and the role that each of those plays in healthy recovery from trauma because of abuse in all its forms. Now, I worked at the Priory Psychiatric Hospital for 12 years as business manager, and then I went and worked with the patients. And I wanted to know why those people were in the hospital and I wasn't, because I'd been through a lot of stuff. And it was because I knew a lot more about trauma and healthier coping mechanisms. I didn't turn to drugs or alcohol. Unfortunately, I went the other way, overworking, people-pleasing, over-exercising, yeah? So my charity is all about trying to rebuild self-esteem, letting people know that what they've gone through was not their fault, okay? And then showing them healthier ways of recovery rather than self-sabotage and more self-harm, because they don't deserve that. They deserve the best. So 2016, charity started, and then because I couldn't give my course or do my course to too many people, I wrote the book so that they could have a self-help book. So anyone nationwide can help themselves based on the course that I created. And I joined in 2015 the independent inquiry into child sexual abuse, and I sat on that inquiry for 8 years, okay? You would have seen some stats in my presentation. 500,000 children per year are sexually abused before the age of 18. 1 in 8 children only are known to the authorities. So 7 out of 8 children that are currently being sexually abused within our family homes, within our communities, are not known about. This is how epidemic and endemic abuse is within our society. And that is a lot of individuals living with pain, living in silence with no one helping them or supporting them, okay? So when I looked to find where I could fit and help people the most, I looked around at all of the different charities and what they were offering, lots of counselling and things like that, everything that's needed. But what wasn't there is holistic health. And that was my bag, that was my jam. And that is what I created the charity to do. Unfortunately, like you were saying, funding is not easy. I want to grow this charity and I want to make sure that it is accessible to as many people nationwide as possible. But I can't do that without funding. I know about cash flow and profit and loss and balance sheet and all the rest of it, but actually asking for money is really difficult for me, always has been. So I've always made sure I was all right, and then any spare money I have, I put into the charity. But I can't do that no longer. I now need good people around me, supportive people, and people that have got money down their sofa in their back pockets, spare change to them, but that can help me drive the charity forwards, because we can help so many more people, but I need someone to help me to do that. So that is why I asked Rosie if I could speak today and share with you my presentation and the work that I've been involved in. Because not only am I doing grassroots work, making sure that the parents of tomorrow leave their trauma in the past and make sure that rot doesn't go on to the next generation. Not only am I doing the grassroots work, I'm also knocking on government's door. I work with Jess Phillips, I've worked with Sarah Champion, I've worked with a lot of top people, but even they've closed their doors to me now, okay? And we have to have these uncomfortable conversations, and we need to make them comfortable, because our children and young people today are being failed right across the board. So I'm here today to share my adversity, but to show you that pain, and we all have it, can be turned into power. I'm just one person. I used to hide under the sliding nursery because of what was going on at home. I used to live in the toilets in primary school at break time. I used to go to my school library in my secondary school so I wouldn't have to face people, They were my safe spaces. I couldn't be around people. I didn't trust people. And in my workplace, when I was bullied, when they were trying to launch on AIM, they were trying to get me to agree to figures that weren't true figures. I said no. That also added to my breakdown. Because when your stress bucket gets too full, you break down. You can only take so much. But I believe, like the Chinese Ming vase, that I've come back stronger and a better version of whatever I would have been because of what I've gone through. But I also want to make sure that other people that have gone through similar don't have to struggle so bloody hard, and that they get the help and support that they need. But in order for me to do that, I also need people to help me. So I think that's me done. Anyone wants my presentation, I'll send it to you.
That was amazing. Thank you. Pain into power. I like that. We've got a few minutes left. Question from the audience. Yes, I'm going to come down so you can give you the mic.
My name's Nikki. I'm a psychotherapist. I've got my own clinic. I feel like I was meant to meet you today. I feel so passionately about this. I've actually got 3 young girls I'm working with this week that have been raped. Not either of them have even thought about reporting it until they came to me. It is terrifying out there at the moment for women. They don't feel valued enough. They don't even feel that they've got the right to say. And they've come to me about other things, in fact. And they say, oh, by the way, I was at uni and I got raped by 3 guys. And it hasn't even occurred to them to report it. It's terrifying. And
they won't even know the impact that they're living with, and they're storing up for the future because they just don't know.
I mean, even in my local area, well, it's dark, I know, sorry guys, but there's some child grooming going on in a local bar where the doorman's on it, 15-year-old girls are getting plied with drinks. I'm literally on it. I'm not going to leave it. People, I know exactly what you mean. People want to walk away from it. It's ugly. Don't talk to me about the dark stuff. You know, so I feel like I was meant to meet you today.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, another question.
Hi. It's quite emotional, so my question to you or to the room is, how do you, or anyone in this room, how do you actually get funding to help Chris do this important work? You know, it's like a brainstorming session. How, you know, we've got so many people in this room, there's amazing women. Does anyone know how to get funding for this sort of thing?
So like Helena, you get sick and tired of knocking on so many doors only to be like put down for whatever reason, whatever your cause is, whatever your business is. And I've tried all the traditional ways, and the fact that the government are slashing funding for the sexual abuse and sexual violence sector just makes it even harder. And that is why I've turned to corporate, but I'm also putting a plea out there for a philanthropist, someone that can see the good that I'm doing, that other people are doing, and just get behind these good causes and these people in these hard times so we can carry on doing the work that we're doing. Now, I know there are at least 4 sexual abuse and sexual violence charities that are shutting their doors because of funding right now. And yet they're oversubscribed, yeah? And it's only getting worse. The support is needed. But if you don't fund it, it just doesn't come out of nowhere. We've all got bills to pay, you know. So that is just my plea, really, is just where you can pay back, because I'm trying to, and that I've done that all my life because I know what it feels like to have nothing, come from nothing, and told you're not going to amount to nothing. And I'm like, if I could swear, I'd put my 2 fingers up. But no, you all can fulfill your potential, and you can bring people along for the ride with you as well.
There's 1 minute left, so I think we're going to have to hold off on the rest of questions. But please, I'd love to, great round of applause for these 2 women. Find them afterwards and ask them more questions. And please support their work. Thank you so much.
I want to stay up here.